All right, y'all. Let's get back into this. Um, I got so much out of that conversation, and we are only just beginning. Y'all come on in here. Hey, Soulful Teaching. I don't know if you had a chance to be in on that conversation with Mecca. I'm hoping that she can check back in here with us. But there were so many nuggets in that. Let me paste this, pin this. So many nuggets in that. Oh my goodness. So if you didn't get to catch part one of this, She's Got a Story to Tell. Hey, Joy. We were talking with Mecca Joy of MJ Biz Consulting, and she is a super successful. Hey, Deanna. Thank y'all for coming back in. Super successful business owner right now, helping other people to be great. But just like you, everything. What's that poem by Langston Hughes that says, "Life for me ain't been no crystal life for me ain't been no crystal stair." And some of the biggest takeaways that I got, tell me what your takeaway was. Put pride aside to get to your goal. That was one. And then when she just was talking about, hey, Mecca, when you said security is actually a hindrance. Yeah, I recited that in a Deltine pageant because the Deltas had this thing um where they like mentored young girls. Focus. So I was asking, what is something that you got out of part one? And Soul Joy Wellness said focus. That's true. Your focus was so intense. This young mom has a baby on Monday. She was in class on Wednesday. Ooh, security as a sedative. Wow, that is a powerful statement.
Yeah. Listen,
So,
and we still here. We still here. So, all right.
yeah,
So, okay.
pick that up. You said that, for if you guys don't know what we're talking about, she had said that her husband tells her he got somebody pregnant. But here's the thing, she's never had to worry about finances since she's been married to this man. He's taking care of everything. She's got this focus and this hustle that's going on.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
at
at the
least
time
he's
I had two
doing this and at
Mercedes.
least he's doing that.
Yeah, at the time I had two Mercedes. Like, you know, there was a I mean, our house was the go-to house when, we had events or, we were the barbecue house, we were the
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, we were the house that everybody came to. So in a sense, we had a facade, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
that was kind of broken with that, because
Mhm.
now people are like looking like, oh snap, like this, what's going on? You know what I mean? And this network, by the way. Okay, thank you. That's my son, who's 17,
Okay.
about to
I
be
know it's
18
for
now.
those of us who've been watching, we looking like, is that him, girl? Is that him?
So he's at work, but he knows that I shared this. This isn't
Well,
anything
your
that he's
story,
not
your
aware.
truth.
So I won't fast forward. Okay, so I'm in school. I'm getting my bachelor's degree. I found this out. We try to work it out. We separate for a little bit. We work it out again. Finally, the last time we're working it out. That's probably 2000. All happened in like 2009, 2010, all within months of each other. Um,
Mhm.
so actually, to May of 2009, I graduated with my bachelor's degree. Okay, so I start 2007. I'm so focused that I literally do this in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I get my bachelor's degree, boom. At the same time, I'm graduated from getting my bachelor's degree. I'm already taking master classes for my master's degree because I'm just falling into the same thing like I did before. Um,
Mhm.
and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I've been in school all these years. Like, I need to, stay focused. So I'm now taking master's classes. It's 2009. I get my first master's 2011. I get my second master's 2012. During this
Wow.
time, we're together. Everything's,
You got two master's degrees in a year's time?
in 2 years. So 2000. So I started 2009 with the first master's, and it could have been 2008 that I actually started taking
Okay.
classes because I was able to take classes while I was still finishing up my bachelor's.
Mhm.
So so I started 2009, 2011, then 2000, well 2000, because it's on my wall. So that was in
Right.
2011.
Beast
Yeah,
mode
and
for
then the
real.
next year was
Wow.
2012. I got the master's. So I have a master's in business administration and a master's in management.
And see, for you again, this is the whole you don't know, like what's behind it. Because remember, she went from GED to master degrees with an S without stopping.
You know,
That's the thing, because I'm not advocating that everyone has to has advanced, level of education and stuff like that. You can apply that focus to whatever the thing is that you feel like is a path that, you're being led to take. But
yes,
just to see how you went from I'm going back to get my GED. I'm getting an associate's degree, master's degree, master's degree, master's degree. That's what you did. Yes, so focused. And that is so empowering and inspiring. With all of these other things happening at the same time, threats on your peace and heartbreak.
yeah, yeah, and it. So let me just say this: I wasn't always. I think why it was easy for me to take him back was
Okay.
because I wasn't always faithful. You know what I mean? I may not have been intimate with another person, but I may have emotionally gotten attached to a person because we may have been communicating online. I mean, there were periods of time where I felt that I didn't have the attention or affection. I mean, I was young. I was 21 when I got married. You know what I mean? So when the affection and the love or the attention wasn't there, I found it elsewhere. You know what I mean? So that's why it was so easy for me to say, okay, I'll take you back. Because I mean, at the time, he didn't know, but I knew. I knew in my heart of hearts that I hadn't been faithful. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, let's just get past this. So that's why it was easy for me to do that. So fast forward, I graduate at this time, and my dad was there. He was in my life in 2009. He attended my graduation. And so he kind of got like a little whiff of what was going on. Him and his wife had stayed at our house, so they seen like something was going on. So we talked, and you can have it. So I'm sorry, I'm on live, okay? But so yeah, so he was able to kind of give me some feedback or whatever. But my dad's been a heroin addict my whole life. You know what I'm saying? He's been dependent on other women my whole life. So hold on, this door is open.
Hmm. For those of you
So
who are just joining, we're
it
talking
wasn't the
to
best. He couldn't really tell me
yeah.
anything. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So uh, but he was there for support. However, for me, I was just happy to have my dad visit me. You know what I mean? Because the 20 years I had been living in Delaware, he'd never been there. Um, and so that happened 2009. I graduated 2011. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going through all my degrees. 2000. Fast forward. So we get the blood test. It's not his baby. Um,
It's not after all of
it's
that.
not. Yeah, it's not. But this is the crazy thing. So she named her son after my son. So my
So
husband's
they have the
nickname is
same
Yamir.
name.
My
Yeah.
son's name is Yamir. This girl's son's name is
That is crazy.
Yamir. Like, yeah, like why? So they get the blood test. It's
That's a
not
lot.
his. Boom, boom, boom. We moving on. Um, 2015, maybe like 2014. So at this time in 2012, I was still doing my thing. I have little businesses that I'm starting here and there. Like one time I started a bookkeeping company. I got clients and keeping their stuff. And then I realized I'm spending way too much time at my computer. This is not fun. Um,
Hmm.
then I started, I had always kind of like dabbled in web design and graphic design, but never as much as I do now. So I'm working for different construction companies because I had like a little buzz within small companies that I had worked with. So if it
Hmm.
wasn't the owner of that company telling somebody about me, it was the one of the guys at the union that I had to interact with when we brought guys in to hire them. It was him giving people saying, "Hey, you need to reach out to her. She could really help you get things in order." So a lot of times when I got other clients or jobs in the construction industry, it was always word of mouth. So I'm dibbling that for a little bit, and then I start doing my own thing. At the same time, I'm like doing different things. So I had started a program at my kids' school because I would always volunteer and go to the kids' school a lot. So I started an entrepreneurial program there for the kids called Young Entrepreneurs Succeeding. And so I did that for a couple years. So
That is
it was
awesome,
like
Mecca.
third and fourth grade. So that was a way where I kept myself busy. I would
Hmm.
come and they had like little hobby days. I forget what they call them, but they would have sections where they could go and the kids would come. So I had like 5 or 6 kids that would come, including my son. He would also
Hmm.
come and do it. And it was exciting watching the kids just like, oh, yes, sir, I can start my own business. White and black. It was a mixture. Having kids send me letters even after and say, hey, I started my business and I'm so excited. Thank you for
Wow.
teaching me, those skills and stuff like that. It was,
Yeah.
it definitely was exciting. However, I do feel like during all of this, it still was like I felt lost. You know what I mean? So fast forward 2015, we get a letter in the mail. The letter saying like something about child support, and I'm like, what's going on? I send I so I see the letter, I'm reading it, but I'm looking at it like, hold on. I'm looking at it and I'm feeling like it just didn't seem right. You know what I mean? So oh snap, we're going outside, y'all. So I just didn't feel right. And it seemed like it was more to the story. So,
Hmm.
I speak to my husband and I'm like, what's up? But this seemed like you paying
This is
child
now the
support for this
third
baby.
time within your marriage that we are back to
This girl,
a,
the
a
same girl.
yeah.
She was the same girl. So, well,
Okay.
for this situation, and what I had found out is that the whole time he had been messing with this girl. She says that she was he says that he wasn't, but to hear her tell it, this has been going on our whole marriage, like our whole entire marriage. So, at the time I'm like, I'm hurt, but I'm just like, I
Because
think
you've gotten over this. You've had to keep getting over this over and
right.
over and over again.
So this time I'm like, let me get out of y'all relationship because like obviously I'm involved in something I shouldn't be involved in. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I said, it's a wrap. I'm done. At the time I had a daycare center. So I was like, I wasn't in my right mind to care for kids. You know what I mean? Like I'm sad, I'm depressed, You know what I mean? Like my family, I'm losing my family. You know what I mean? So I closed my daycare down. I ended up starting working for another construction company, and I'm this time I'm wilding though. I'm wilding. I'm
Yeah, the
wilding
reason
out. I'm
said,
just
someone
I'm
said
hurt.
re-injury, because you have been here before, and now here this thing is
All
again,
over
and it's
again.
devastating.
Oh my goodness. It was just like, what the heck? Like, why am I not good enough? You know what I mean? And what I had to learn, and two, also what helped me too, is watching the episode of Ayanna Van Sant where she said that, where she was talking to this guy about cheating on his wife and, all of that stuff, and realizing that it ain't got nothing to do with me. It got
Mm,
everything to do with him and him not being happy in his own skin. So instead of me focusing on him, I focused on me. I didn't go this time. I didn't go in and spiritually. I kind of went out and went destructive. I started dating guys. I literally pulled one of the worst people out of the bunch to date. And however, they during that experience, they showed me some things about myself that I feel like I wouldn't have gotten with anybody else, um,
mm.
sexually, mentally, like it was just an experience. Unfortunately, that person and the way he was taken out of my life, because there was a point where I knew what I was doing was wrong, but it felt good. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the summer, it was a soap opera summer on my block. You know what I mean? Because not only am I um, separating from my husband, but I'm dating one of the local drug dealers. He's
Wow.
coming in and out of my house. He's sitting on the steps with me. We're driving in the car together. Like, this is a summer blockbuster movie that's
And
happening
this
right
is
now.
not you. This is
This
not
was
you.
not
Rita says
right.
you gave in to his tactics, and it makes me wonder. I can't wait to hear the rest of this story because now I'm wondering, like, damn, is that what it took, though, in some odd type of way?
I don't know,
So
because
what
I still
happened
feel like
then?
I'm figuring it out. I still feel like I'm
Oh,
figuring it out. You know what I mean? So
uh-huh.
we separate. Mind you, I'm dating the guy. He's mad. He's hot. He can't believe it. He can't believe it. But I'm happy as a bug. Like, I'm happy sexually. I'm happy as a motherfucker. Like, all of this stuff, I'm happy. I don't even care. And but there was a period of time with the guy that I felt like he couldn't give me what I wanted, and I was just like, I'm done. And I had a conversation with God, and I was like, I don't know what you gotta do, but God, I think this has run its course, literally.
Because nobody could feel that. You know, it's so interesting because we're hearing your story and we see, what you looking back could see but couldn't see at the time was that you were acting out of that hurt. Um, Maisha said, this is what happens when you're hurt. And Dorita said, I remember my mom started drinking as much as my dad when she didn't know what else to do. So
Yeah.
now I'm doing now what you have been doing to me
Yep.
throughout this relationship.
Oh, I was acting weak. I was acting weak. Oh, I was acting weak with myself. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
it was crazy because, doing all of this, he's doing stuff to be spiteful. He's cutting the power off at the house. Mind you, I had nothing. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? I didn't have no savings. All the stuff was in his name. Um, because mind you, when we bought our house, we had plans. Like we was going to we was going to use the first time home buyer's loan so that he could use it, and that's why we put the house in his name. And then we were going to buy a investment property, and that house was going to be in my name so that we could use the first time home. So it was like we had a plan of what we were doing. At least that's what I thought in my head. However, I had got so comfortable with him managing everything that I wasn't. I still had my mother's money issues. I get money, I spend it. I get
mm.
money, I spend it. I get money, I spend it on a house, I spend it on a family. I was doing things with my money, I just wasn't saving
Uh-huh.
it.
So this
So,
is another pivotal moment that weirdly your eyes were open. Someone said eye open, and that's the power he had. So he used it. Maisha said, because it's like when we had the story that you started when you were 19 and 20, you started kind of thinking some stuff like, wait a minute, I can do better. And so then you zoom from GED to multiple master's degrees, and you're figuring out. I think I got an entrepreneurial gift here. Now you made a very strong statement there. You said, "Wow, after all of this, because you were driving Mercedes, you had this house, you guys had all these trappings, but at the same time, you said everything is in His name, and I spend every dime I get." What did you do with that?
I literally had to start over. Since
You
because
did.
so he was acting shady with the house. So I left. Mind
Mhm.
you, I had always had the thought in my head, if something was to go down and I can't provide for my kids, they're gonna live with their dad. That was
Okay.
always like, I'm not gonna be the single mom struggling. I watched my mom do it. I just refused. I was like, nah. I was like, he can do it. Like, why do I got to be the main parent? You know what I mean? So I had always
Mhm.
in the back of my mind knew that if something ever happened and I had to start over, that they were going to go live with their
That you
dad.
would be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. My kids were with me
Wait, so
from
you
the time they
actually
came
did
out.
do that? I thought this was
Yes.
hypothetical.
Mm-mm. No.
You
When
actually
when
did do
after
that.
he cut the lights off or cut the power off or the water, I think it was the electricity or something. And mind you, I called back in, hey, this is wife, turn it back on, blah blah blah. However, it was
With
just
you
like, you know
staying
what,
in
I
the
can't
house
be in
and
this.
with the kids in the house, he did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So and granted, he was hurt. I mean, I was fucking the shit out of this young boy. I'm sorry for y'all, but
You
I was
basically
like, I
waited.
never had orgasm. This guy, listen, I was getting him rental cars. Like, that was my man.
So
I was
you
in love with
basically
this boy,
jaded him, is what I'm hearing.
huh? I
So
was,
you
I was, I
basically,
didn't even care how he felt. I didn't care. I just rubbed it in his face. I didn't care. It was like, you've
no,
been
no,
doing
no.
this
I
all
said
this
you
time.
jaded him, not jaded, but like Jada Pinkett Smith
Yeah,
and August,
yeah,
bless his heart.
yeah,
This is not making
yes.
light of that
Entanglement,
because I hope he gets the help
definitely,
he needs. But you was all the
definitely.
way entangled
Yeah, I was
with
definitely.
somebody's baby
And
boy.
when I said, and this is the crazy thing, when I said to God, like, we got to figure
Hmm.
something out. That day I was in the house cooking dinner. I had talked to the guy earlier that day. And next thing you know, I think I had turned my phone off or something, but I was just like, I didn't want to be bothered. I just knew, he wasn't doing right. It wasn't the life I wanted to live. And yeah, next thing you know, I get a call the next day saying that he's been locked. Well, he's on the run because he done murdered somebody a block away from my
Girl,
house.
hey,
So he's on the run.
crazy.
He's gone. He's that's done.
So
That's a wrap.
baby boy,
The young
little
guy that I
Og in
had,
this situation,
the whole situation is gone. It's gone.
this is
I'm just like,
crazy. No wonder
whoa.
you said you had a soap opera summer.
Listen,
Oh my God,
listen.
Mecca.
It's literally
Oh
soap
my
opera.
God.
Um,
Jesus.
yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So he gets locked up. At the time, it's a lot of stuff going on. So people were, some of my girls who are in the streets, they're hitting me up like, Mecca, I hope you ain't got him at your house because, people was looking for him. Da 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 da. Long story short, come to find out he
This
had
is
a
a
girlfriend.
saga. Yes. Meanwhile,
Yes.
you got all of these gifts. You got all of this talent, all of this brilliance, all of this genius, and you
And
out
I'm
here
acting a fool. But that ain't even
acting a
it.
fool.
Let me go.
That's
So that
how
happens with the guy.
I'm telling you, we will
I'm
play
trying
up.
to, you ready to be like, whoa. So the guy goes to jail, whatever, whatever. Um, so I'm still dating around or whatever. Some still in the hood because I see these guys all the time. They've been hollering, being nice to Miss Mecca all these years. So now let me see what they talk about. Lord have mercy. So at this time, I'm working at the company, and I'm like, what am I going to do? This money is not going to feed me. Like, it's $15 an hour. I'm working maybe 20 hours a week. It's no money. I can't live off of this. So I buy some coke, some crack. I'm staying. I tell y'all, I think I bought like a quarter of crack, and I'm like, all right, fuck it. I know how to do this. I'm a bag boy. I know all the crack is in the neighborhood. I just get it off. Well, the guys in my neighborhood, they weren't feeling that. So I was standing on the corner one day, and I was in my Mercedes, standing on a corner, and something was just like, man, you can't be doing this. And I was just like, but at the same time, I got the guys hating on me. I could feel the daggers. Anytime that I've ever hustled drugs, it's always been hate, because I'm not your little nickel and dime, just a couple $100. Like, no, I'm going from little bit of weight to a whole bunch of weight in a short amount of time, because I'm flipping. I'm in my hustle mode. So
And it's so interesting because as you tell this story, it's like the same focus that took you through school all those years, the same focus that had you be able to set pride aside, to be able to bring your newborn baby into classes with you, that same focus that had you
I put it
walk
in there.
straight up to the decision makers in different environments and bring them on as clients for yourself. That's the same focus that you now are employing as you are, moving this weight. And at the same time, it's the same focus that is now driving your business.
Yes, definitely is. And because I mean, I'll get to that in a second. So all right, so I'm out there. I'm like, this ain't gonna work. I stop, and I end up, like, it literally took me like a year and a half to like really pull myself up after we separated. Um, and the people that I had around me weren't very uh, encouraging. They were more encouraging on bad stuff than they were on the good stuff. So, however, they did make me laugh, and so they kept me in a space of happy. Even that was sad, happy, kind of misery, love, company, kind of happy, because we would laugh all night. We, sometimes drink, smoke weed, whatever. So I was still in that bad behavior, and I felt like they were my rescue. However, when I had no one around, that was when it was like, okay, Mecca, what are you going to do? Like, this can't be. Like, you in this man's house, you really don't want to be here. You're sad. This house is depressing. Like, all of these things. So I made the decision for, I think at this time, the kids were already staying with him, because I was in such a destructive behavior that they didn't feel safe. You know what I mean? Like, I was, my one time, my homegirl was like, "You gonna have a nervous breakdown." She's like, "I see my mom acting like that." You know what I mean? Because I was screaming and hollering, and I was just like, literally I was out of it. And so it takes about a year and a half. At this time, I'm dating this guy. He sells weed, so I'm like, I just hop into that. It was a little easier. Now I don't have to be on the corner. I could just drive and be at somebody's house and serve it. So I started venturing into that, and it was getting so big to the point where I had to talk with myself again. It was like, all right, Mac, what you gonna do? And at this time, okay, so during this time, I had gotten a new car. I was working at a daycare center. I was director at a daycare center, but I'm still not making a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, where I felt like I could survive. So I'm still nickel and diamond with that. Well, not really nickel and diamond, like ounces, half ounce. But I'm in it, but I'm not happy with it, if that makes any sense. So I get a car, because at this point I had no car. Mind you, I went from two Mercedes. Car ended up getting repossessed. So at this point I had no car. But I always know that there's a way, there's a will, there's a way. So I tell my niece, take me to the car lot. I'm ready to get a car. She's like, how you gonna do that? You ain't got no money. Oh, I don't have to put money down. We go into the car lot and we get brand new cars and we drive off. That's how we did. So I go in, we're there for a couple hours. I come out, I get a brand, it was like 2017 brand new Camry. So boom, I got the car, I'm excited. Boom, at least I have transportation to do what I need to do. I'm driving I go to work one day and I come out and my car is stolen. Like somebody took my brand new car out of the parking lot.
Wow.
So they looking at the things or whatever. Long story short, my brother ends up finding it. But while I'm out looking for it, with one of my homegirls, I ride past this guy that I used to date when I was a young girl. And like we was in love. I thought we was in love. So I run into him and it's like, boom, we're like right on rice ever since that. So I'm telling him about my situation and what's going on. And he's like, well, I'm staying over here. It's not the best situation, but if you want, you can come stay over here. So I'm like, cool. At this point, I think my daughter was with me. I end up sending her with her dad, and now it's just me, and I'm living with this guy. And I'm selling drugs. He's selling drugs. It's like this. It's just dysfunctional altogether. And one day something happens and he says to me, he says, Mecca, he was like, fuck your feelings. And I'm like, feeling some type of way. Like, how you just want to tell me fuck my feelings? Like, I miss my kids. I want to see my kids. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I processed it for a couple days. And after I processed it, I'm like, oh my God. So after it, I start my business. I build a couple websites, his website, help him build his company. I write 2 books. Like I was on a mission. Things didn't work out between me and him, but I was on a mission. And I literally would be in the car typing. Everywhere I went, I took my laptop with me. And there come to a point where he was feeling some type of way, like you always on your computer and da 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 da. And I was like, this is how I'm going to get my kids back. Like I got a whole different mission than what you want.
Somebody said earlier, you need to write a book. I don't know what all the principles would be. You need to, you would have to think that through. But the running theme in everything that you've said, everything that you have had to overcome, excuse me for all the movement, y'all, my phone was dying and I had to plug up out here. But the running theme in everything has been around this intense focus, intense, relentless, almost like a bear trap on whatever the goal is, and you will do it, and you don't even give regard to how you feel about it. Dorita said, thank you for this introduction. She is incredible. Yes, she is. Teacher Mom says, is your story in a book? It reminds me of the book, The Coldest Winter Ever. Wow, look at that. The book that inspired you, you now remind people of that. Oh my God. So thankful for your sharing. I love hearing people's stories and how they overcame. So powerful. I know.
Yes,
And
with
then
the side dude.
this is the side dude. You got motivated. Like, it's like these people, these characters keep coming into your life. There was the Indian woman that told you about, what it means to like chant and meditate. And then there's the teacher who says, just show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, another
Absolutely.
Indian woman. And they still, the funny thing is, like, we follow each other on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy. Like, so all of that happens. Things don't work out with the guy. And I go
But
to
he
stay with my
still
homegirl.
gives you something that
Yeah.
you can take, and then now here you are talking to us from your home office.
Listen, and he'll send me a message like, Mac, I'm so proud of you.
Mm.
Like, I know you have it in you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I seen it, but you had to see it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that doesn't work out. I go to stay with a friend. Um, and I'm there. She's like, yeah, she was like, yeah, you gotta pay half the rent, but you can't have no company. I'm like, oh, well, I can't stay here. So I do for a couple days, and then I end up going to a battered women's shelter. And I'm staying at the shelter, and it's like an hour away from the city where I actually live at. So I go down there, and I'm there for a couple days, and literally, I feel like I was only supposed to be there to inspire the couple women that I had a
Mm-hmm.
chance to talk to, because I didn't stop anything. I came in the morning when I would come at night. I would go to bed. I wake up in the morning. I do my running. I do my meditation. Like, so they seen this and they're like, well, "Where are you going when you go?" I was like, "Oh, I go for a walk." I was like, "Oh yeah," and I do my meditation and da da da. And they was just like, even the staff was just like, "We need you to come back and talk," because like I found a job like within a couple of days of me being there. I ended up finding an apartment. I wasn't even there a week. Ended up finding an apartment, was able to put money down on the apartment. I ended up taking a loan out, but it was like the things were in place that happened and made it possible. I just paid attention to the signs. So I move into my apartment, and I'm all excited. But during this time, like I think people expected me to be embarrassed, because there were times where I was taking the bus. There was times where I was walking, and I was used to Mercedes. You know what I mean? But even when I had it, it was like, this could be here today, going tomorrow. So this isn't my life. These material possessions aren't everything to me. You know what I mean? So I do all of this. I start Rich Girl Meditation. It actually was Rich Girl Palette at first, and that's basically about, when I started Rich Girl Palette, it was about basically being okay with trying new things, enjoying luxury. There was a period of time where I didn't believe that I could be rich. There was a time where I didn't believe that shit, I could have $25,000 in my bank account. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let alone, you know what I mean? So there was experiencing it and manifesting it, and still being like scared. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, am I doing something wrong? Oh my God, is this okay? Like, there's still that fear that sits with me, because I've been used to getting money just in the wrong way. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it's like now me creating everything now. So okay, so let's I'm gonna stay on track, because y'all, there's still some story. All right, so I am in the apartment, everything's going good. My daughter tells me, she's like, "Mom, I want to come live with you." So I'm like, okay, cool. So she comes. At the time, I was in a one bedroom. We move upstairs to a two bedroom that becomes available. So we move upstairs to the two bedroom. So for a year or two, it's just me and her. We're rocking out. My son wanted to come too, but he was like, "Well, I'm just gonna stay here with dad." You know what I mean? Trying to keep dad company. Um, so we're going through all this time. Like, I can't even talk to my husband. I can't have a discussion. I don't want, like, every time we have a conversation, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm bitter, I'm mad. And one day I realized that I was having all of those emotions still, and I was like, okay, Mecca, you got to figure this out. Like, you can't be harboring all of these emotions and all of these feelings. So I work on them. It definitely helps us to be able to communicate a little bit better. And then after we move out of our place, well, something happened and we end up having to move out of our place, and the landlord was a bitch. So I start manifesting a new place. I was like, I got a new job. I'm making 60,000 a year. I need to find a better place. But at the time, mind you, I started at this job as a temp. I was making like, I think it was like $15 an hour, and then it ended up going into a full-time position where I had a salary and all of that. And that was manifested too, because I literally said exactly the amount of money I wanted. The apartment, I went and visited, took a tour of it. So when I went home to manifest and vision what I wanted, I was literally visioning everything. So at the time we move out, I thought about sending my daughter back to stay with her dad, because at this time we're homeless because we moved out of our apartment, and the other apartment we were supposed to move in fell through. So I would go to one of my friends, and they're older, they're like in their 70s. So she's like, yeah, you can come stay with me, whatever. So she would always make sure if I had a car, if I didn't have a car, she would always make sure I had a ride and stuff like that. So she says, yes, you can stay here. So I talked to Mimi, and I asked her, I said, hey, do you want to go stay with your dad? She's like, no. She's like, I'm with you. She's like, whatever you got to go through, I'm here with you. And her saying that pushed me harder too, because at the same time it was like, I don't want her to experience nothing but good. So it was important for me, even with us being homeless, that we were in a good environment. You know what I mean? So she had her own room, I had my own room. Mr. Michael, he said, when I talked to him recently, he said, you guys gave me a reason to cook Sunday dinner, to cook Sunday breakfast every morning. And he's white too. Let me just say this. He's a white man too. He would wake up every Sunday morning, and he makes like better than quality restaurant pancakes. He would get up every Sunday and make pancakes and bacon, and like he just, we gave him something as well as him giving to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like every morning would take me to work. If Michelle couldn't pick me up, he would come pick me up and take me to work. They made sure that someone was there when Mimi got out of school, so she was able to get in. He'd have snacks and stuff for her to eat when she got out of school. It was just like grandmom and grandpa, like they just really took care of us. And to
In a
this day,
way,
I'm
like a
so
father
grateful for
figure
them.
too. Like in a
Yeah.
way, he was a father figure for you. Our time is winding down, even on this. Mecca, your
Well, it's
story has
gone.
just
This is
been
over.
so amazing, and it's still, you know what I'm saying, and it's still unfolding and all of that kind of stuff. Could you bring us into and guys, feel free if you have questions for her or about what she shared. I just don't want Instagram to start counting
It's the
down while you're
end.
in the middle of
Yes. Oh,
something.
man.
And I also want
2
people to
hours.
know, yeah, I
Sheesh.
also want you to know, want folks to know, yeah, found family, that's right. Want people to know how, you know, like what you're doing right now as well, because that's so
Yes.
amazing too. So if you can kind of bring us into like how you got in this, and then we'll start wrapping up, and feel
Yes.
free. Hugs to Mecca, someone says.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm in Georgia now. Me and my
Mhm.
husband are back together. We are working on things. Hopefully we'll work on them. All I can say is I tried if it doesn't work. Um,
Mhm.
However, I won't ever allow myself to be vulnerable that way ever again, or be so in love with someone that
Mhm.
goes outside of here. Like I have to, if that makes any sense. Like I think sometimes we get in relationships and we lose ourselves. We so focused on love and loving that person that we stop loving ourselves. And I feel like whether I'm with my husband or with someone else, that's the one thing that is not up for debate, is me loving myself. So that means if I go to the movies every Wednesday by myself, I'm going to the movies every Wednesday by myself, regardless if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, then guess what? You're probably not the one for me, because this is what I do. Doesn't mean I'm meeting a man in the movie theater and you know what I mean for some extracurricular activities. No, it's I practice the self-love. Like I buy flowers for myself. My son asked me the other day, he's like, oh, where you get these from? Dad buy these for you? I'm like, no, I buy them for myself. He's like, why you do that? Because I like flowers. So I'm not requiring anybody to do anything for me anymore, you know. Um, Currently, I am doing my business. I'm also building a business so that I'm able to work in the construction as well. I'm getting my building my own business so that I can bid on contracts, because that's something I did so long for other companies. Now I'm working on doing that for myself, as well as continues to build my online business and help entrepreneurs really breathe life into their brands and really get clear on their message and what they want to do, as well as bring income in from it. Because I think a lot of times we get online and we think, oh, let's free, and not realize that there are people who are willing to pay for what we have to say or what we have to teach. So I think that just being able to educate people on these options and what's available is exciting to me, and breathe life into them, because I hear a lot of doubt sometimes, and not sure if they're doing the right thing. So my job is to fill them up, because it fills me up seeing them grow and seeing them create what it is that they want to create. So at the end of the day, this is awesome for me. This whole experience, just everything. I'm excited to see where is to come and what's to come. I was telling you my goal yesterday, and what I've been doing. So real quick, because I know this is where it cut off. So recently I was stressing about money. Just in June, and what I was saying about that, in June, I started working with a spiritual coach. And before we actually started working together, she told me, she was like, Mecca, I'm going to send you my invoice, blah, blah, blah. I get the invoice. It's like $6,700. I'm like, fuck, I can't afford $6,700 to go to a coaching class. Like, whatever. And so she was like, don't worry about the price. She's like, I'm going to show you some tools that you're going to manifest that money. I'm like, all right, okay, yeah. Even though I know about manifesting, like, I don't know why sometimes it's still like a doubt and a fear, or I don't believe it type of thing that comes with it when you're working through these things. And she says, all right, set the goal. My goal was, I am so happy and grateful now that I am earning over $50,000 per month, helping and serving my ideal clients build their business and receiving more government contracts. And that I am in my dream home, and my dream body is fit and ripped. So I started writing this a few weeks ago. And before that, it wasn't where I wanted it to be, but I was still getting some consistent income. And before you know it, within like 2 weeks, I was screenshotting her my Cash App, and I was like, look at this. And then I was looking at my Dubsado, where I have my customer relationship management system. I'm looking at that. I had set a goal for $1,000. But just by, I think it was like, we were 14 days in July, and I was $2,750. And it's just like those things. And I won't lie, for a minute it was just like kind of scary and kind of like, oh my God, like this is happening. Like, you got to get ready. I always say to myself, I don't never want to be the rich person that's depressed. Like, I want to be the rich person that's out here living. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get rich and now I want to commit suicide. So I want to do all of my spiritual work now while I'm in the trenches, so that I can appreciate it when, I'm overflow and feel and just abundant. But what I do want to say that I don't think that we believe is that it's possible. No matter where you're at right now, if you have a dream, you have this idea that God put in your brain to want to achieve, you can make it happen. We just have to be clear on what that looks like for us. So I mean, like, get clear. If you want to make $50,000 a month, what is it going to look like? Where is it going to come from? What are you going to do? How are you going to serve for you to receive that? And that's a lot of times he says, one of my mentors, he says, he says, a goal without having a goal is just like you just going through life like nothing. And I mean, like, a goal you write down. We talked about this yesterday. There being A goals, B goals, and C goals. A goals are goals that you already achieved. They really don't require growth. C goals are what require you to be like, okay, I'm stepping out. So the last 15 years, I've been on C goals. That's right. What I feel like. Things that I didn't know I could achieve.
Yeah, real quick, just for people who are not familiar with what we're talking about. So Mecca said an A goal is something that you've kind of done before, you know what to do. So for example, an A goal for some of us might be moving to a new state. Well, that can be kind of scary and it takes some faith and it takes some resources, but you've moved before.
You know
A
what
B
that's like.
goal would be maybe just a little bit step from that. So maybe it's not just moving to another state. It could be moving to a state and buying a home in the new state for the first time. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's it's kind of new. You're unfamiliar with it, but you can figure it out. It's
Yes.
it's not you can figure that out. But a
The
C goal,
sequel would be buying that house because you never did that before.
and it's a dream house on top of that.
Yes.
It's like a fantasy goal. And so
Yes.
you have been living in pursuit of C goals for the past, at this point,
Yeah. Right.
five,
15, 15
10 years. Yeah.
years now. And
Hmm.
now it's like they're growing so big. Like I was telling someone that I watch luxury videos on YouTube. Like I watch
Hmm.
these rich videos and people, in their yacht or the $1 million listing. I'll watch that because at the end of the day, all I know is poverty. That's it. I know what the hoods look like. I know what it's like to sit on your steps and I know what that's like. So I don't want those visuals anymore. Like I
Hmm.
want to know what it's like to sit in $1 million house and I'm walking off in my. So these are my visions that I hold right now. I have this huge house, all windows open. There's a garden back there. It's grass back there. I got a big pool, like to the point where I could walk out I could run from my kitchen through the
Hmm.
family room and jump into the pool. Like I envision myself with my long gown flowing in the wind.
Hmm.
Like those are the visions right now. Seeing my
And you have
kitchen,
to get
seeing what
that
I want.
clear is what I'm learning. You have to get that clear. Like when you
Yes,
you even said, what do you have on? You
yes,
know?
yes.
So yeah.
And I
Y'all,
say this: if there's women on here who are struggling with weight or having issues with weight, fix yourself up. When I was 294 pounds, I was looking good in my workout gear. People be like, girl, all you gonna do is just lose the weight and you ain't gonna be able to wear it. Well, at least I'm gonna look cute doing it. I go in there, I buy the bra tops, I buy the pants. I want the matching outfit because I wanted to, when I walked past those mirrors at the gym, I wanted to look good. When I walked in the
mhm.
mirror at home, I wanted to look good. So even through those things, like I have been up and down with the weight all through these journeys, all these years. That's probably one of the things I didn't talk about. But take care of yourself. Like if you got something out of this today, the main thing is focus on you. Like,
Mhm.
my kids don't remember that I sacrificed years of being home and didn't have a career because I wanted to take care of them. They don't remember that at all. They barely remember me taking them to school every day. Like, what? Like, we had a block at the corner of our house. I took my kids to school, picked them up, and dropped them off every single day so that they didn't have to ride the bus because we lived in the hood. And I knew how being on the bus with in the hood could be detrimental to them and just change them as individuals. You know what I'm saying? Because of the kids and mean and all of that. So they take care of you. Like we're no good for anybody if we aren't focused on what we want. Even if you got kids right now and do this, do that. Stop. Worry about you. What are you doing? How can you tell them that they need to do that if you're not doing nothing? We have to live by example. And it has to start with us. Like we got to go in and pull it out. So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
because I could talk all day.
I tell you,
Thank
Mecca,
you.
think about the book or
It's
think
all what the
about
fuck is my purpose?
continuing to make, yes, or think about continuing to even go live and do these type of talking things because people need this. I have gotten so much out of you. You are the type of person that there is absolutely no room to make excuses in a conversation with you because you have pushed through some horrendous things and some mentally traumatic, emotionally devastating things to keep going towards your goal. And then even the things that you share with us, those are not even probably some of the worst, but I hope that something you've heard here, please go back and see part 1 as well, has encouraged you to just keep going and focus
Yes.
on yourself. So
Yes.
thank you for doing that so that we could benefit from you. Oh, Dorita says, this blessed me today.
Thank you,
You have
girl.
blessed us. Um, Someone said, I'm going to go change my clothes. I'm going to go walk. Truth and hand claps and all of that. We love you. We appreciate you and wish
Yes.
you
Thank
all the best. May those things that you are envisioning right now be your reality in a short time. Yeah.
you.
And I will call you after this so I get to still talk to her, y'all. And I'll
Yes.
post this for y'all. And
Yes.
thank y'all
I
for
love you
being here.
guys. And you can follow me as well,
Mhm.
MJ Biz Consulting.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
yeah, thank
You
you.
tell
I'm
them to
just
get in
happy that
together,
you
y'all.
all were here and I was able to share with you guys. Like
Mhm.
it means a lot to me because I do want. I know how we don't get it in an instruction book, with life. And a lot of times we are programmed to do things in a certain way. And when we veer off to the other side, we're like, oh. But no matter what you're doing right now, know that God is within you. We have the power. Like y'all. So before I go real quick, I'm gonna read that poem. Remember the poem that I was telling you I was reading to you the other day about God.
Mhm.
So it's this poem. It says by Steve Bow. It says God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we will ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Like we have so much greatness in us that we've been taught to dwell it down, dumb it down. Like we got God in us. Like the fact that our brain moves and I'm moving my arms, but because I'm moving my arms, like there were signals that went to my brain for this. Like when you realize that there's so much power within us that we have no clue. No clue. But once you tap in and you stop trying to tell God what you want and start listening so he can tell you what the next move is, meditation will help with that. That is the part that brought me even back here is God telling me that's your husband. So whatever we got to work out or whatever I got to work out and he got to work out or whatever God's plan is for that, I'm still staying focused on this other plan. You know what I'm saying? I still have this vision for what my life is going to look like. People either get on board or don't. And I say this too before we go. If you have people in your life who aren't pouring into you, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I didn't cut my mama off. You understand? And she will tell you I've cut her off. But
Wow.
I did it at the expense of my peace.
Mhm.
She was emotionally abusive my whole life. Emotionally say things. And recently, like a year or two ago, I had to let her know I'm done with you. I won't allow you to do it to me or my kids. And it's a shame that you're doing it to my nieces and nephews. And it took her recognizing it, being mad, being pissed off, thinking I was being disrespectful. But she works on herself. And when I seen my nieces this week, a couple weeks ago, they told me that every time they go see my mom, she's getting better and better. She like
Nobody
60.
probably ever told her that.
So I
No
say
one may have ever
protect your
told her.
peace at all costs.
Mhm.
At all costs. I don't care who it is. If you got to cut them off, you got to cut them off. They'll come back around. But you got to build yourself up so that you can be strong enough to be able to say, hey, not today, boo boo. I
Mhm.
see you later. My peace matters more.
Yeah.
I
We
see
got
somebody
20
said
seconds.
my peace is not at an expense of you or something like that. So just
Mhm.
protect yourself. And if you gotta go achieve it, write it down.
10
Feel
seconds.
it. Feel it. Like you gotta feel it.
Mhm.
So all
All
right.
right.